You know when you're walking down a city street on a really hot day, you're probably, almost instinctively, looking for a bit of shade from a big leafy tree. I mean, those trees are like the silent heroes of our cities. But here's the thing. They're facing this hidden challenge, one that's forcing us to completely rethink everything we thought we knew about planting them.
So yeah, our urban forests, the green lungs of our cities, they're under some serious threat. There's this problem that's moving so fast that nature, all on its own, just can't keep up. And it has a name that honestly sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. It's called climate velocity. And all that really means is that the climate in your city is changing way faster than the trees can adapt. Just picture it like this. The perfect weather for a certain tree is moving north, maybe a few miles every year. But the tree, well, it's literally rooted to the spot. It can't just pack up its bags and follow the weather it needs to survive. So to fight this, city planners and the people who care for our trees are having to challenge this really fundamental, long-held belief about what makes a healthy green space. It's a rule you've probably heard a million times. For decades, the best practice was so simple. Plant local native trees. And the logic was totally sound. I mean, these are the species that have spent centuries evolving to thrive right there, in that specific soil and climate. It was the perfect rule for a stable world. The problem is, our world isn't so stable anymore. The tough reality is that old rule just isn't cutting it. The local climate that those native trees are perfectly adapted for, well, it's kind of disappearing. And this has led to a really counterintuitive but totally necessary new strategy: assisted migration. For ecologists, this is radical stuff. It means we're intentionally introducing non-local species, basically giving nature a helping hand to move faster than it ever could on its own. And listen, this isn't just some fringe idea. As the source material puts it, this is a full-blown paradigm shift. We're seeing experts actively moving away from that strict local native dogma. It's a huge change in thinking for the folks who manage our urban canopies. Okay, so this new idea isn't just a theory anymore. It's actually being tested right now in these huge real-world experiments all around the globe. So let's take a quick tour of the 3 most important proving grounds. All right, first stop, California. There's a project there called Climate Ready Trees. And what they realized was that a lot of the state's traditional, iconic trees just can't take the rising heat and drought. So they started looking for tougher alternatives. And they're not just guessing. They are scientifically identifying regions, like the ones you see here, that have a climate today that looks a lot like what California expects in the future. They're looking to places like West Texas, Mexico, and even parts of Australia. And they're testing out the trees that are already pros at surviving there. Now get this. This is what's really cool. Check out this tree, the escarpment live oak. It's a relative of the native California oaks, but its home turf is the hotter, drier climate of Texas and Mexico. And in all the trials, it's showing way better drought tolerance and disease resistance than its local cousins. It's basically a climate veteran. Okay, let's hop over to Australia and see how they're building on this. Because down under, they're taking this idea even a step further. They're not just looking for new species, they're looking for the toughest individuals within a single species, using this brilliant idea called provenance selection. Provenance is really just a fancy word for a tree's origin, its address. And what researchers found is that for any given tree species, the ones growing at the hotter, drier edge of their natural range, which in Australia is the northern edge, have the best genes for survival. So they collect seeds from those specific trees to plant in southern cities that are about to face that same kind of heat. And this example with the jarrah tree just illustrates it perfectly. In the city of Perth, the local jarrahs are dying off. It's a huge problem. But when they plant jarrahs grown from seeds they collected from the hotter northern part of the state, those trees survive. Same species, totally different outcome, all based on their genetic zip code. For our final stop, we're heading to southern Europe. In cities like Barcelona, they're facing a potential crisis, and they're actually turning these experimental ideas into official city policy to prevent a massive loss of their tree canopy. So an audit in Barcelona turned up this shocking stat. Over half of their existing trees were vulnerable to the heat increases that are coming. To deal with this, they're not just looking inside their own borders. They're part of this huge European effort, a network called Reinforce, that's actively moving tree populations north, from places like Africa and Spain, into test forests in France. And the data coming back is just crystal clear. In these trials, the maritime pines from the southern, hotter regions are already outperforming the local French trees. And this proves that assisted migration isn't just crucial for our shady streets, but for vital industries like forestry too. So, after all this research, what does this actually mean in practice? I mean, what does the new toolkit for building a resilient urban forest actually look like? Well, for one thing, it looks like this. Barcelona came up with this really clever guideline called the 15-20-30 rule. And you can think of it like diversifying a stock portfolio to lower your risk. As you can see, it means no single species can make up more than 15% of the trees. No genus, which is a group of related species like, say, all the maples, can be more than 20%. And no family, which is an even bigger group, can be more than 30%.
And from all these global trials, a list of climate all-stars is starting to emerge. I mean, these are basically the superheroes of the future urban forest. You've got the Chinese pistache, which is just rock solid in tough paved spots. The ghost gum, a tree that actually thrives in that brutal reflected heat from asphalt. The shoestring acacia, which can handle both floods and droughts. And the European nettle tree, well, it's simply known as the ultimate toughest street tree.
Okay, so when you put all of this together, the science, the global experiments, the practical lessons, it all really boils down to 3 clear, actionable new rules for building the urban forests of the future. This right here is the key takeaway. This is the new playbook. First, shift your baseline. Stop planting for the climate you have today and start planning for the climate your city is going to have in 30 years. Second, prioritize provenance. It's not just the species that matters, it's where its parents came from. Source your seeds from the warmest, driest parts of a tree's natural home. And third, diversify. Build that broad portfolio of trees, using a rule like Barcelona's to make sure your entire urban forest can't be taken down by a single threat. So these new rules, they're already shaping the green canopies of cities all over the world, creating urban forests that are tougher and more resilient than ever before. And it really leaves us with a final thought. The next time you're walking down your street, take a look at the trees being planted. Are they from around here? Or are they climate pioneers, the first arrivals from a much hotter future?